All right. We meet again. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition to Motivational Sundays with Kevin and Friends. This episode is brought to you by RMK Productions and the 10 United Podcast Network. Our mission is very simple. Through the power of story, we want to uplift, inspire, and share experiences and perspectives using the framework of teaching, learning, and modeling. Our purpose is hope, helping other people every day. For those of you that are just tuning in and you have no idea what Motivational Sundays with Kevin and Friends are about, this is the way it started. For the more than 300 quotes that I had created for the contents of my books, I often wondered, were these motivational quotes we often use or listen to? Were there words that just kind of laid there on the page? Were there conversations that need to be had? So I got together with my co-hosts, David, Andrea, Ife, and a couple of others, and we had a conversation about it, and it was so interesting. So we meet every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to go over these quotes. So welcome to another edition to Motivational Sundays with Kevin and Friends, and today's quote is a very simple one by Oscar Wilde. Experience is merely the name men and women give to their mistakes. I'll repeat again. Experience is merely the name that we men and women give to our mistakes. Ife, how does that quote land on you?
Experience. Maybe it's not always mistakes, but it's definitely what we've gone through and what we've seen. So we're going to see a little bit of the good, the bad, the ugly. So oftentimes what people fail to tell you is in order to get to that success, you're probably going to have to fail a few times. First attempt in learning. So we don't look at failures as, oh, you're terrible or you can't do it. But in order for that supposed master to become a master, there were a lot of mistakes made because you want to be able to get it right until you can't get it wrong, instead of saying, I can't get it wrong until you get it right. Something like that. I'm probably chopping up that quote as well, but I hope you get my drift. But in order to get to the other side, you have to fail or make mistakes, then realize, okay, I made a mistake, figure out how to not make that mistake, and then move forward.
Yeah, and you know something, I'm going to have to do Oscar Wilde a big favor because I actually only took part of the quote. I got lazy this morning when I said experience is merely the name that men and women give to their mistake. But it goes on to say, to give back to one's youth, you merely have to repeat one's mistakes. Each man and each woman lives their life, and there's a price for living it. So nowadays, everyone knows the price of everything and knows the value of nothing. That is the complete quote. I should have probably just said that. I got very verbally lazy this morning, and I apologize to my audience for not giving that. So you want to add anything to that since I added another layer to that, Ife, before I go on to Andrea?
Okay, so
I think the biggest part of the quote is nowadays we know the price of everything and know the value of nothing.
True. I think the other part of the quote too is sometimes in order to get things right, we have to have that youthful vigor, in that we kind of throw cares to the wind and we just live in the moment. So I think sometimes adulting, we're always looking for that we're going from one crisis to the next, instead of celebrating going from one moment to the next. Like kids, we weren't planning too much. We were in the moment. We were happy to be alive, and we were just happy to say, you know what, tomorrow is coming. And we usually don't get that when you're an adult. You're usually like, okay, let me plan. And usually we find ourselves as adults, we're hopping from one crisis to another, or getting ready for something to go bad instead of enjoying stuff going good. Then the other part, everything has a monetary price towards it, but do people really understand that sometimes when somebody says, I'm here to listen, or I want to spend time with you, that person may actually have been sacrificing way more than just their time. They could have had other obligations or other things that they needed to do, but they said, no, you're more important. So I'm going to spend my time with you. And a lot of times people are like, oh, time is money, money is time, but they don't realize that there are other intangibles, other things that mean more than money. And when people when people are like, yeah, we know the price of everything, yeah, everything has a price to it, and you see the monetary value, but do you really value anything? Do you value people around you? Do you value the opportunities around you? Do you value the people around you and what they've gone through to get to that point? So that's how the quote landed on me.
All right, thank you. And I apologize to my listeners for me being lazy, and I apologize to my guests for not giving the full quote. Ife, you came back around strong that time. So Andrea, I'm going to you next because I don't like following you. You're just so brilliant. I'm like that kid that shows up in the classroom that sits in the front desk. Andrea sits besides me. I'm going, shoot, I'm going to the back. So I know what's going to happen.
And thank you to you, Kevin.
In the middle of the class, so I can blend in.
Andrea, so how does that quote land on you?
Well, first off, don't apologize for only doing the first line because it has a lot to it. And so just first taking the first line to me makes a lot more sense. I couldn't, get it all in, but the whole thing about mistakes and experience, it's like you learn from your mistakes, and a lot of times it's the mistake that I've made that helps me, especially if it's early in the process. There's certain things you almost want to have certain mistakes happen early in a process so that you have a way to make things work. I mean, I'm remembering one time with my nephew. I raised my nephew, and he was having a problem, a breakup with a girlfriend, all this stuff that was going on, and some of the stuff that had happened that wasn't really right. And I told him, I said, yeah, this is awful, and this feeling is awful. And because he was saying, oh, it's nothing. I said, no, it really is a big deal, especially at this time in your life. He was in high school. I said, but the thing is, you'll learn from this, and you'll see this. And the next time it comes along, and it will when you're in college, when you're older, whatever, you'll recognize the signs, and you won't be with that type of person. I mean, that's the people that learn from their mistakes. Some people repeat the same thing over and over. My brother went with the same woman over and over and over, and again had a different name and a different face, but basically it was the same person. But most people learn from whatever happened. And the other thing about mistakes and experience is it helps you have connections with other people. You're going to have more connections with the people that tell the story of, ugh, and this happened, and whoa, it was a disaster. I can't believe I made such a mistake, rather than the person like, well, no, never have I ever. Like I've talked with actors like that. Oh, every audition is just perfect. It's just the casting directors were wrong, and everything they do is perfect. Nope. I've gone into auditions and totally misread it or totally did something wrong. I've had mistakes. And, I learned from them, and it's now an experience, but there are people that will tell you their story of never making a mistake, and you lose a connection from that, because actually people connect much more on your stories of mistakes and errors, and it makes you more relatable.
Yes,
I find.
well, that and you being the thespian you are, that's the reason why movies, books, and stories that we hear are so incredible. It's not the successes that we have that make the story. It's the drama that's attached to that success that makes the story worth listening to, or the movie worth seeing. Am I correct?
Yeah.
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 See,
Although I like the wins more than the Even in my stories, that's why I like the medical dramas, because they have at least 2 wins every night. Somebody might die, but at least 2 successful things.
See,
that it makes
you
me
you
feel
you
good.
just confirmed why I don't follow you, because I thought I said something very profound, and I thought I said I got to win, and you just took it away from me.
No, oh no, I'm so sorry. Oh
No,
no,
that's
I
okay.
didn't mean to
That's
say
okay.
that.
Hey, my friend Les Brown says you don't want to be the smartest person in the room, and I'm
No,
glad.
but I just thought we had a difference of opinion. I didn't think
No,
that
no.
was.
I'm just going for the laugh. That's
Oh, okay.
I'm just looking for some humor, some levity in here.
Because
So
I
that
never want to hurt somebody's feelings.
no, I don't have feelings. I grew up black. I don't have feelings.
Oh my goodness.
All right, David, and to our listeners, experience is merely the name men and women give to their mistakes. We're gonna stay with that one. How's that land on you?
What Andrea said.
Someone else did the work. I'm just
Oh my God, that was hilarious.
Thank you very much. End scene.
Take 2.
Andrea, you're like on fire today. With the conversation that we were having previously, and then the answer to this quote, it's like, geez, that's a whew. Yeah, a story pops into my head. I remember I was a judge for trying to get my thoughts together. It was for a monologue competition, August Wilson monologue competition. And one of these were young people, and this one girl, she came up, and I noticed that she was one of the young ladies that came in late too, and I was like, oh, okay, so we're doing that. That was in my mind. And when it came time for her monologue, she came out strong, but as an actor, you're supposed to build the arc, while you do your monologue. And she just came out, blaring. I guess that was her MO from the start. And, it was angry or whatever. And then she drew blanks. And I saw the fear in her eyes. I was like, oh, poor baby. I know what that feels like. And then she finally got through it. And then she said, scene. And then she went back to the back with the rest of the group. And this poor thing, she was just bawling her eyes out. Now, these are teens, she was bawling her eyes out. And I remember having that happen to me on stage, when you missed like a whole half a page and a monologue on stage. And this young lady, everyone consoled her and everything. And I went to her, after everything was done, I said, you're a great actress. I said, it was basically what I said to her was, I'm glad that you got to experience that, because better to experience that now and work through it as a young person than when you get a little bit older and thinking, if that happened to you then, you'd say, my career is over, that's it, I quit. These are the times that you can make the mistakes. And that's what I left her with. Experience, that was her experience for the time. And I completely related to it, because I'd been there and I'd done that. In order to not repeat it, practice makes perfect. That's kind of what I left her with. Practice, practice, practice. Sorry, you know me, I'm a storyteller. To the rest of the quote, growing up in the projects of Boston, college was talked about, but never never
It wasn't tangible.
it wasn't tangible. It was like, yeah, it's nice to get an education, but get you a trade. You know, that was the talk about college. So from that, you know, I went the military route. I had always wanted to, you know, go to school for something that, you know, it was either music or something like that. And I, you know, I went the hard route, not the hard route, but the experience route. You know, trial and error from music to acting and stuff. And I learned through just doing. You know, it took me a little bit longer had I gone to school, but I really learned. So when I hear about those, you know, repeating one's, get back to one's youth, we merely repeat one's mistakes. It makes me think of how I just learned stuff by trying and doing and messing up. But as we get older, you know, we don't have much time to mess up.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what went on in my mind. I probably didn't answer the quote, but that's what came to mind.
No, but basically everything we do is based on our perception and interpretation. So there's no right or wrong answer to the quote. It's based on your perception and interpretation of the quote and how you're feeling at the moment. I can, trust me, probably ask the same question 3 weeks from now, and every last one of us, because of where we're at, we'll have a whole different take on that. And that's the reason why these quotes are so wonderful. It's because the time and space we're in. You know, we and I want to thank you for, you know, always being so candid and sharing your stories, because I love hearing your stories. And that's the reason why I surround myself with so many wonderful, creative people. And you know, living in New York, I would always say I love actors. I loved actors because as coming as close to being the real person you are, an actor is like, you know, peeling back layers of a banana before you get to the fruit. You know, there's so many different layers of experiences and conversations that come along with actors. They're just wonderful people. You know, who goes up, you know, repeatedly and puts themselves in a position that they get said no to. And then they wake up the following morning with their headshots and their resume in hand, and they do it all over again. And then all of a sudden, one day they get the job. You know, they get the part that they were looking for. And then the reality comes through the experience. It's like getting the job is the
Is the job.
getting the job is the easy part. Keeping the job is the hard part. Now you get up and you got, you know, X amount of pages of dialogue and so forth to go along, and you don't mix with the right actor and whatever, and all of a sudden the understudy or the grip guy is now taking your place. Tom Cruise, look what happened to him. That's how he got his start. So, you know, when you look at, you know, experiences, it's merely the name we give to, that men and women give to our mistakes. It's about our experiences. And what is experience about? Life, chance and choices, and the actions that follow it. You know, that's what it is. And I'm sure there's not one person on this planet, when you look back, that hasn't effed up something or hurt someone's feelings or made a bad choice, and they look back at it today and they said, if I had to do it all over again, I would do it all over again. And then there are those a few that never look back, and they continue to make the same mistake. Like Andrew said, you know, with the family member, he keeps dating the same girl and having the same experiences over and over again. The only difference is her location or address changed, her hair's different, her body's different, and her name is different, but the experience and the outcome is still the same. You know, the other part of the quote is that nowadays people, we know everything. We know the price of everything and whatever, but we value nothing. You know, you don't hear about the, you know, the marriages and relationships that are 50 years long and whatever. Is to everything instant for us. You know, we got grown adults that can't, you know, separate themselves 5 minutes from technology. to have a conversation with you. And when I look at that quote, it's just like, we all pay a humongous price on how we live our life. The biggest thing is, and David, you said this, when you get our age, we don't have 30 years in front of us. Everything becomes in a hurry as you get 50 and 60 and so forth. But, when you're young, you see those 30 years and you always got tomorrow, but tomorrow's not guaranteed to anyone. So, I guess a conversation I had with someone this week about experience. I said, experiences, like your mistakes, are the lighting of the candle of your enthusiasm as when you succeed. Boy, that's a good quote. I should write that down. So that's why I'm going to leave it on there, because, following all these great minds, my co-host Andrea, my co-host Ife, my co-host David, and some of our other co-hosts that are busy doing crazy things in the world, making life better for someone, if not for themselves. I always want to thank you guys for coming in and giving us your wisdom. I always want to thank all of you guys for coming in and sharing a laugh and some entertainment. I hope our listeners like this and they share this, and maybe one day you guys will join in. So I always want to wrap up to find out what's been going on in people's lives, get a little update. So, because I want everyone to know, each and every one of us. So, Andrea, you've had one heck of a week this week in the acting space. You want to give us some update? Share some.
Yesterday I wrapped my role as the mom, Pam Atwood, who's also a meteorologist. That was fun to play, in a movie called Ugly Sweater. And I'm the mother of a young girl coming of age who's experiencing anxiety. And tonight is the SAG Awards. We're having a big party.
All right.
For to watch. It's going to be on Netflix, but Netflix on YouTube, which
All
is
right.
a different kind of thing. And it was fun voting for the SAG Awards, because this time, unlike the Oscars, we had a lot of Black folks. And then you're thinking, oh, I don't know, Viola or Danielle Detweiler. It's a good dilemma to have.
Right.
Oh, this one versus this, and the different films that we're voting for. So I'm glad that SAG Awards at least nominated.
All right. And for our listeners that not aware what the SAG Awards are, it's the Screen Actors Guild. It's our union, which I still need to pay my dues. But anyway, it allows us as working actors, no matter what color you are, wherever you come from, if you're a member of those unions, we're allowed to vote on the films, the roles people play and whatever. And so it's probably more fair than any other awards. And if you guys are offended by the statement I said, change, adjust, be right. So I just want to clarify that's when we all have these acronyms and we didn't know what SAG mean.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry.
Okay.
Screen Actors Guild.
And I will pay my dues. I want to get back into the business. Ife.
Yes.
Update. What's going on?
It's just getting used to this weather down here. For y'all that don't know, I'm in South Carolina. One day it could feel like spring. The next day it's like, yes, it's still winter. More creative writing, and more projects on the way. See, I can't keep it within a few sentences, Kevin.
That's okay. I'm going to tell you something. My grandfather used to say this about the weather. He goes, if you're complaining about the weather, you ain't busy. He said, get doing something. He says, if that's all that you got to complain about, he goes, seasons are going to change and you got to adjust. Winter's going to come and whatever. Hey, Ife, how you living? If you get up in the morning and you're celebrating life, it doesn't make a difference if you got to walk through 10 feet of snow, or you've got to suffer, try to find air conditioning at 105 degrees, or whatever the case may be. You got to be living.
See, I'm not complaining about the weather though. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I'm adjusting because some days are hot, some days are cold because
Yeah,
10 inches of snow, yeah, gonna have me staying inside. You know, we're not built for that down here.
you're in the Carolinas. You guys complain about 50 degrees. Ask my two counterparts what Boston is like in the wintertime. You don't know code. David, what's going on with you?
Oh my goodness. It's funny. Yesterday I was at not an audition. It was a rehearsal for a film I'm going to be participating in 2 weeks, and up in New Hampshire, and it was 11 degrees, and I saw someone a family get out of a truck, and this kid had on t-shirts and shorts, and the father had on a shirt and jeans, and just walked to the convenience store. And I was like, I've got my hat on, I've got my winter coat on, I'm getting gas. I'm like, they're crazy. When you brought up the weather, that's what it made me think of, Ife. Nuts. Well, so what am I up to? Doing a film in 2 weeks that is probably going to be a series. We'll see, knock on wood. Also, I have 2 films premiering at the Boston International Film Festival, April 14th and 15th. By the Water's Edge, which is a full-length film, drama, thriller, and Whiskey Floats, which is a really sweet short. Also, the movie that I co-directed with my good friend Caitlin Grace Reddy, written by my friend Liz Ng, has been entered into Tribeca.
Whoa.
That's big.
Yes, I knew, Andrea, you would appreciate that. Andrea actually plays one of the moms in the film. She's so funny in it, hilarious. And we're submitting to other films. Yeah, that's basically what's going on in my world.
All right. Well, that leaves with me. I'm going to make it short. RMK Productions is growing at a very rapid rate. We're about to do. We're setting up and organizing our first workshop. We're taking some of my skills, and we're going to show how to get shit done. I'll say it on Sunday, how to get shit done. Because that's the biggest thing. I always say procrastination is the first door that opens. So I have another book coming out that says just that, how to get stuff done. So we're going to talk about people that have, we titled it Failure to Launch, on how to get shit done. So we're going to be doing that, and you'll hear about the announcement from that. We'll take groups of 10 people. We'll do a weekend workshop. It will be a paid event. But we'll show people how to get off from where they're at to where they need to be, and work out some things, explain to how they can monetize or start their own businesses and so forth, or just change things in their life. So it'll cover contents from my book, Dating with the Full Deck, Indispensable Gains of X's and O's, on how to live your own truth. And I'm living my own truth by illustrating my next book. I have 23 and a half drawings done out of the 23 that I need done. And I keep saying it's simple, but when you get thousands of hash marks on there trying to make something look appealing to everyone else on a 18 by 24 inch piece of paper, it is not easy to do. So 16 hours in one drawing. So that's a little bit of what I'm doing, and I'll keep you guys updated as far as the workshop, and hopefully you guys will attend. And to our listeners, you are always welcome. If you want to go and find out how to be a guest on the show, go to info@rmkproductions.org. If you like what you've heard, if you'd like to see any of our podcasts, this is one of many. This is Motivational Sundays with Kevin and Friends. Go to RMK Productions and Network on our YouTube page. Like and subscribe and share. And you're always are more than welcome. I want to thank each and every last one of you for always being here. You are always on time. You know, we had a conversation about CP time early, and I got a great education from Andrea, and maybe we'll talk about that one day just for fun, and replace that with a quote. And again, you know, my grandfather always said, when you get to a place you can help someone else, it is your duty to do so. Reach one, teach one, and we'll fade to black. Thank you, everyone.